And if you know, you know. Oh. Yes? Hello. Is my shit on? I guess I'll know by going to YouTube. I should really do this before going live, but then I don't know if I'm live until I'm live. And if you know, you know. I should be live. Let's see. Right? Am I live? Can I just... Dude, can I just do my thing? It says I'm live. Later. Okay. But it says I'm live because I think I am. Okay, okay. I don't know if I'm gonna eat today because I'm gonna eat at Alinea for Christmas in Chicago, and I'm gonna enjoy it. And I'm gonna fit into my pants. This needs to be like, it's coming down. Yes, I got a haircut. Yes, I looked really bad after the haircut initially a couple days ago, and I felt bloated and disgusting. I was like, I can't even look at myself. I can't even prepare the stream, so I'm just not going to stream right now. It's extreme body dysmorphia. I don't know. Am I good? Are we good? What is this? Live with Restream? Is this my shit? I don't know. God, Restream is kind of confusing. Allow? I don't want to join my shit. I just want to know that it's working. Okay, stream started. Kick. Okay, bet. So I should be on Kick, yeah? Let's see. Because I'm just gonna run it. I didn't know that Kick doesn't keep your videos. Lots to talk about, lots to get into. Big show. You know, it's like a fucking bail bondsman and why not Kentucky? Kick. Interesting. Asmongold gets lower ratings on a Saturday in the afternoon. You would think that he'd get lower ratings Saturday night and the afternoon to be good. Oh, okay, we're good. We're golden. Okie dokie. I like these stop times. I should check in case someone's like chatting. I can't look at myself. It's awful. So I pumped myself full of testosterone today because I felt inflamed and I wanted to see if extra testosterone with the anastrozole I took yesterday would just like pump up my DHT and I would get this sort of like anti-inflammatory effect. Whatever it is, I'm starting to feel a little bit better because my joints were like awful and inflamed. I could not tolerate it. Is that Schoenstein guy? Yeah. Could not tolerate it. The joints were just so bad. Gotta like mute myself. Yeah, it's just like really unpleasant when you have this weird up and down with your estrogen and you're sick and you have an autoimmune disease and you just like have to deal with the flare-ups where I arguably, when I have a neuroinflammation flare, I can't remember how to spell my last name. Like, that's how bad it is. It goes from like Rhodes Scholar to borderline retarded. I don't know how that works, what exactly is going on. Some people experience with TRT mechanistically this sort of like brain fog where the estrogen overwhelms and saturates receptor activity and their dopamine goes down and subsequently like their word recall and short-term memory is affected. I don't know. I don't put myself in a TRT category. I put myself in like, you have an autoimmune disease and you're using steroids, testosterone to offset that. Have I ever done a cycle? Yeah, when I was in college, I did Winstrol, Stanozol with no testosterone base. I didn't know what I was doing for 2 weeks. I got bitch tits, and then I had to get gynecomastia surgery. It like permanently affected my pecs because the guy did some like lipo. I didn't like it. I didn't know what he was. I was like a stupid trust fund kid that had way too much money, and I was a fat fuck. And I said, I'm going to take Winstrol to cut. Like, I had no sense of consequence, mainly because I was protected by a single mother. That's what happens. So, yeah, it's moms try to protect you forever. Even on my mom's deathbed, my first girlfriend's like, she says about my first girlfriend, she's just going to upset you. She's going to break your heart. Like, as if life isn't. My mom's about to die, so like what? Hey, you're abandoning me, bitch. Like, don't. But no, in all seriousness, like. Love my mom. Rest in peace. But best intentions, worst logic. Best intentions, worst logic. She's just like the covert narcissism of mothers. Like, this almost like she's just gonna hurt you. What are you doing? You're dying. So like, hey, let's try to get on the same team here. Codependent, dead mother, father I was told to hate my entire life. Thanks, Mom. And I'm finding a relationship with a tall brunette. Okay? What's wrong? What's wrong with this? What's wrong? Oh, I got it. Yeah, a little bit of competition. I understand, of course. Dude. Ugh, it's disgusting. So disgusting. My mom's dying, and she's like, she's just going to break your heart. I'm like, you're going to die, Mom. I need to replace you with another woman. So, like, this delusion of, like, as if her dying isn't happening. My mom, like, moms, the rates of children raised by single fathers that like go to college, stay out of prison is the same as dual parent households. Moms are just not equipped to give children the kind of reciprocity or warnings or kind of like conditioning to function in normal society. Their entire purpose is to protect you. Your dad is there to scare the shit out of you and to teach you about like perseverance, hard work. They say these really like kind of dark phrases like no one's going to put Christmas presents under your tree but you. My dad told me that at 12. If you want a friend, get a dog. He told me that at like 11. When I was really young, under 10, I told my brother, my half-brother, who's older from my dad's first marriage, that I wanted to be a child psychiatrist. And my dad's like, that's stupid. You should work in business. My investment banker father at Goldman Sachs. You have a good business sense. You should work, work in finance or something. And I started to cry, and my half brother knew why I was so upset, and he like my dad is completely oblivious as a narcissist to the reason your son's really upset that you're like kind of like almost throwing that back in his face is evident the fact that he had child psychiatrists. He was fucked up. He like had issues because of you and your ex-wife. And so he really liked child psychiatrists, and now he wants to help kids because they helped him. And my dad couldn't see that. He was just like, you're a genius just like me. You're high IQ. You can do lots of things. It's a waste of time. You know, psychiatrists don't make any money. Not aware of his own disposition is the reason why I went into therapy at like 5 years old or 3 years old. The fights between my mom and my dad, a borderline and a narcissist. Goldman Sachs investment banker, kept woman, like B-list model. I know it doesn't, but maybe the weight. As the weight comes off, I think I'll get more angular at least. Tall though, I'm tall. My dad's brain's nice. The predisposition towards autoimmune disease, is that like an Irish thing? An Irish-Italian thing? I don't know. But COVID and serotonin syndrome, that's got to be, maybe it's just both of their genetics, sort of recessive genes that were activated, like epigenetic change that just made my brain turn on fire. It's brutal. Anyone in the chat that has any friends that suffer from like an autoimmune disease after COVID, let me know. I know so much about autoimmune disease. I know like different protein structures that are involved in like the innate immune response, the adaptive immune response, the correlations between the two, serotogenic pathways affecting blood flow in the brain. Like when you get infected with COVID, a lot of people don't know this, it actually infects you through the 5-HT pathway, which is the serotonin pathway, which has serotonin dysregulation for some people. They suffer from a slew of fucked up things, like idiopathic hypersomnia, like based off of COVID, orthostatic intolerance, can't stand up, they get really tired. There's something called a post-exertion malaise. Like they walk to their fridge and they're exhausted and their joints start to swell and like ache. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. The blood clotting thing, I think, has a lot to do. There's this idea that there's neutrophils, these sort of like inflammatory factors that are like clumping in these micro vessels in the brain, and that's causing some of this like slowdown of metabolism and like the flow of things like toxins out of the lymphatic or the lymphatic system in the brain. And so it just slows everything down, and so everyone's brain functions like at a second degree, like you're in third gear. You're just kind of like idling. You're in safe mode, like a computer. That's a better analogy. And these are all hypothetical because you have, they talk about like activation of these viruses, like Epstein-Barr. Yeah, lots of people have extracellular vesicles that aren't replicating and they're active. There's people that are perfectly healthy that test positive for HIV. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like there's people that, have the flu and get tested and it's like you have positive, like, rheumatoid factor. And it's like you don't have rheumatoid arthritis, but if you did test these random people in the outside groups, they would test positive for all these indicators. But no one ever tests for those, generally speaking. They only test for those when you see a specialist and you have a problem. So isolating what's what, I don't know. But I feel, when I have remission, it's like a dam opening up and all this like fluid, cerebral spinal, blood flow, whatever, maybe just firing off of synapses and like you get more serotonin or dopamine or your neurotransmitters are just functioning or your lymphatic system's draining. I don't know. Whatever it is, it feels like a dam opens up and then all this fluid drops and my brain goes into like hyperactive, like hypomanic mode, which is my general disposition, in case you can't tell. Like if you think that I'm high functioning right now or on any of my podcasts or whatever, wait till you see me when I'm healthy. It's like, it's not even close. I have this like vocabulary, this word retention, like photographic memory, I just pull things really easily. And it's really fucked up. It's like a locked in syndrome, like the diving bell and the butterfly. If you've ever read that book or seen the movie, people are like get this syndrome where they're basically like alive and high functioning in their body, but they can't move. They're comatose. Do you know how fucked up that's kind of what it's like a brain injury, whatever you wish to call this. Imagine having a brain injury, but you are aware of what you used to be like, and you have moment like your brain is trying to it's almost like drowning or grasping for oxygen. You know that it's you're capable of getting to a higher level. It's not like your function is like decreased to an extent to where you can't have moments, but you're like, why is this not functioning like it normally does? Like, why am I constantly exhausted? Not just physically, but like mental exhaustion. Best analogy, I think I've said this like 1 or 2 times before, but you have the flu, and then you're coming out of it, like the throwing up, whatever the sick, gross stuff, you're coming out of it, but you're exhausted. You try to do some work, like the favorite thing you like to do, or maybe read your favorite book, whatever it is, and you can't. You're just like so tired, like your brain doesn't have the energy. That's your immune system taking over the cyclic AMP to ATP energy synthesis. The mitochondrial activation is like, again, in this like second or third gear, and it's everything that involves the conversion of energy in your body's going towards your immune system, as if you have some serious antigen that must be destroyed. What I think happens is there's a dysfunction that the body, like neurotransmitter-wise or cardiovascular-wise, or like the endothelial cell dysfunction of people with long COVID, something. The immune system is in a loop. The dysfunction occurs, it thinks it's like a foreign antigen, and it activates. Loop after loop. As people start to come out of their autoimmune flares, they feel their best, and then the immune system acts up and knocks them back down. You might want to call this like the IDO pathway conversion, or the Curnin pathway. IDO, like energy trap or metabolic trap. I think Ron Davis talks about this, or it's the other guy, Ron Davis, and can't think of the other guy at Stanford. These CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome guys, that talk about what exactly is going on with these patients. One girl, a student of one of theirs at university, was a not only a client, a student, but also a patient, and she cured herself. Her theory was that the body needs time to rest, so she stayed in bed for an entire year, and she cured herself. She thought the crashes, the metabolic crashes, the flares were what kept people sick. And it makes a lot of sense of like taking tryptophan from the gut, going up through into the brain. You have to have sugar, you have to have glucose to do this, to break the blood-brain barrier. And that conversion, NAD, doesn't work. There's something going on. It's not converting the right way. And when you're sick, it doesn't convert the right way. So you're in this like energy deprived mode. So once you crash, the immune system jumps back up again, like as if this isn't correct. There's something wrong. You're sick. So it's like your immune system's smart enough to know there's something wrong, but it's not smart enough to realize that it's the reason you're having a problem. You have scar tissue. Women that get breast implants, they get Hashimoto's or Sjogren's. Again, one of those two autoimmune disorders. They remove the silicone, whatever, and they still have the symptoms. Their immune system refuses to revert back to normal. Very strange. I don't know what to make of it. And no one does. But what I do see is clear is that B-cell depletion therapies have some promise. T-cell engager, CAR T, where you're basically reprogramming T cells. You want to like tell your body the new cells it produces, like everything's fine, so that they don't act like everything else. You have mature B cells and immature B cells, or naive B cells, they call them, baby B cells. Those, when you're sick, disproportionately break apart into antibodies. Those antibodies bring with them a cytokine storm. You can call that mast cell activation syndrome. You want to call that like, I don't know, interleukins on your blood work, like interleukin 6, interleukin 10, interleukin 14, like a Jeffrey Epstein victim, or winner who made a lot of money and just kidding. Yeah, you just yeah. I really want to divert attention into that for a brief second. The redactions are ridiculous. The pictures that are like redacted are weird. Like, why is this person not allowed? Like, they could sue the Justice Department. What is the redaction for? They're an innocent, and Hillary Clinton isn't, or because she's already a public figure. I'm confused by some of the redactions. It's like there's no implication of impropriety, and there's not going to be a case on this. You know, it's kind of ridiculous. So, you know, I don't know what's the issue other than this is the greatest national security threat that the U.S. government has ever faced, possibly, and it's blowing up in their face right now. And the reason J.D. Vance is being pushed so much by Erica Kirk and Candace Owens is working with TPUSA behind the scenes, but making it look like they're enemies, is to astroturf J.D. Vance before the 2028 election, but maybe astroturf him before the impeachment of Donald Trump. Did you see that clip or that excerpt where it's innocuous because it's just like, you know, hearsay, sort of? Jeffrey Epstein winks at Trump about some girl and he nods and smiles like she's really beautiful, isn't she? And she happens to be 14. Okay. Interesting. That's all you got? Like, you got to have more than this. Where's the video of Trump, you know, acting in an inappropriate manner with an underage girl? And there, you know, there has to be more. That's just like, that's pretense. But it looks bad. What's worse is that I think page 468 is missing. Is it 476? No, 476 to 478. 477 is missing. One of the pages is completely missing that's all about Trump. And the redactions are just completely inappropriate. Is this another distraction? It's not appeasing anything. Like, how is this acceptable? It's clear that there's a huge security threat from this. Why even allow it to come forward? This isn't fair. This is not a FOIA. This is like, you know, a FOIA request without the information is not a, you know, an appeasement of civil liberties and the rights of the public to see the tyrannical happenings of their government officials. Especially after the fact. It's like one of those things where it's like, why is this all confidential? Stuff that happened in the 90s. It's very weird. It's like these people are almost dead. Bill Clinton's almost dead. It's because it makes the United States look disgusting. It's because it might involve some programs involving the use of children or sex trafficking that the U.S. CIA, U.S. foreign entities like maybe the NSA, maybe domestically, that they work together and they were worried about a program that would compromise people for the sake of U.S. interests. Maybe Mossad, it was a joint operation. Maybe someone went rogue, and maybe they, like the U.S. government, got angry. I don't know. What was the fallout between Epstein and Trump? Not what we know that, like, I don't know. Trump felt like Epstein didn't have any real money. Like, he just thought there was this weird falling out. What was it really about? It's strange. That's all I can say. You really can't trust it in many respects. It's just like this and this is a distraction again. What I do feel is interesting is Erica Kirk's gone back and forth in terms of not endorsing, being kind of like ambivalent to J.D. Vance, and now she's like very staunchly supporting him. Her father and her family, or her family-in-law's connections with Israel are very, very interesting. Look into it. It's not interesting to me because I'm just like, she's fake, and I can, from a 10,000 foot view, see this is a fake person who didn't give a fuck about Charlie Kirk, who was a natural careerist, sociopath. Charlie Kirk is like a means to an end, and it's almost like they had like a lavender marriage or something. It's just very weird. It's like This isn't a loving couple. You don't act this way. It's borderline psychopathic. The business of TPUSA, if you have like equity, I could see like all hands on deck. This is your husband. This is your kids, like bread, bread and butter for the remainder of their lives. Let's not destroy it along with your husband's memory. Let's sell this and build TPUSA back up. And let's endorse JD Vance. And in doing so, if you use TPUSA to that end, we will reward you with hundreds of millions of dollars. Kind of like a life insurance policy in a sense. But the obfuscation of what's actually happening, this fake feud between Candace Owens and she was former comms director at TPUSA 7 years ago. God, it's almost like, was she really fired? Were all these people fired? Maybe not Tucker, but maybe. And that wasn't the Dominion voting machine issue. It wasn't like you have to fire Tucker or else we're going to like sue you from. Maybe the whole idea is like to give this false sense of radical, right-wing, social media, Operation Mockingbird controlled opposition people that seem genuine and honest. But all they did was enter the arena with the king, Nick Fuentes. They came right in and said, Nick, hey, we're ready to go. He's like, do you want to play, motherfucker? Say my name, bitch. And they haven't done very well. Head-to-head polemics, direct-to-camera, greatest broadcaster of all time. They don't hold a candle. When I was saying, like, you have to look into Erica Kirk's family, off the top of his fucking head, he'll just go right off. Erica Kirk's father was blah, blah, blah. Her brother-in-law from her sister's side, like, whatever it is. She's half Jewish. I perused the paper. I just didn't want to hear it. This convoluted, fake. It's disgusting. I almost was shielding myself from the facts because I'm just so sick of it. She is a cog in a wheel. The things behind Ben Shapiro, behind these people, are really what matter. It's for the goy, for the everyday person to kind of say, oh, I'm with team this, or I'm with... No, these are mercenaries. These are just like talking heads to make you like not see what's actually happening. I think that the document dump for Epstein, as bad as it's been handled yet again, is actually not to like confuse people. They're trying to appease the FOIA request, and they really didn't want to do that. And it seems like there's going to be a congressional hearing about this. And then I think Trump's going to have a health issue, and they're going to give him an honorable discharge. He's going to step down. It won't be an impeachment. And JD Vance, because a lot of like people on both sides, I don't see like Democrats and Republicans. What are you talking about? No, both sides of the money. The Zuckerberg conservatives, Silicon Valley, and Wall Street would like JD Vance to come in. He's the darling of both of them to perpetuate the MAGA right-wing populism grift of we are the bastion for you. Like I am James Fishback, who lied about being head of macro at Greenlight Capital under James Dan Loeb or whatever his name is. And now I'm pretending to be a fucking Groyper, even though I have a strong relationship with Barry Weiss. And it just goes on and on and on. You had like Martin Shkreli talking about, he had a whole video on how Nick Fuentes was a narcissist. And like, he's selling for the sake of the pardon. He wants the pardon so that he's banned from securities. So you can be a felon and start a company and go public. You can do whatever you want. He can't. He's banned from the securities industry. So, that's like an appeasing, that's like quid pro quo. Martin Shkreli called Nick Fuentes a narcissist. So like these type of things are kind of ridiculous. But it's so overwhelming. Like the amount of documents, the amount of like, okay, it's kind of this weird situation where this is true, this is the corruption, and you're going to talk about it online, blow your proverbial load, and then that's enough for you. You acknowledge the corruption, and then you talk about it with your friends online, an online circle jerk that's an echo chamber sequestered from everything else, and that's it. and nothing more happens. And you're good with that because you're not the guy that's going to go to Capitol Hill and scream at a politician or break into his house and hold him hostage or just shoot him. You're not that person. You're the guy that like is like a fake OG. Everyone is. The whole censorship thing on social media dropping off is designed to get you to feel like you have power and you have free speech when in fact you pay for a blue check mark. The algorithm controls how many people read your tweets, and you have like-minded people the system is designated as dangerous, that they put you all in one area where you like each other's shit. The algo even has fake bots that like your tweets. You think that you're like, oh, this is enough, but then you're ineffectual. What you're doing actually isn't interesting. And then you have the Nick Fuentes version of political change, which is a bit more proactive. You are a well-heeled young man, top standardized testing scores, going to elite universities. You withhold from prep school onwards. You withhold your actual real political beliefs and, hidden affiliations as a Groyper, as an American firster. And you go into state politics, or city council politics. To get to the state Congress level, probably have to get married unless you're a closeted homosexual. You have to acknowledge you're homosexual. It's the only way you can be single and really compete against the other competition. They'll have families and kids too. People trust that. Now you have liabilities. And so, computer's about to... If you have liabilities... Hold on. I'll just pause it. Make sure this is... Back. So when you go into politics, if you have liabilities like kids, a wife, country club membership, private school tuition, upward mobility goals, you are in a compromised position. You don't all of a sudden say, I'm a Groyper, I love Nick Fuentes, ha ha ha, I was just kidding this whole time that I was a moderate Republican. That's not the way it works. That's like fake. And how many Groypers, just statistically, would beat out Palantir before it controls everything? We have a social credit score and like some sort of AI that knows everything you're doing all the time. How likely is it that you would get into politics with enough people that have the like-minded constitution of American First and somehow do anything outside of the private interest money, which is controlled mainly by financiers around the world that are beholden to banks, or beholden to international Jewry? You're going to work together with your frat bros that went to Duke that are in, foregoing a career in Wall Street, already made their money in Wall Street and now are going into politics. You're just going to work within that group versus JP Morgan, Credit Suisse, and give me a fucking break. The only way you stop the corruption, the only way tyrannies are destroyed or systems that are corrupt are broken down, I see the United States as pre-Soviet, fall of the Soviet Union, that's where we are, is through violence. You take. That's it. Nothing more. People destroy. They burn down. That's the only way things change. You're supposed to say as a political pundit, I disavow. I disavow all violence. I disavow all, Charlie Kirk. Of course it's awful. Of course it's disgusting. I do not condone that whatsoever. That's not the point. The point I'm making is you need tyranny to be snuffed out. Euphemism, implication, whatever you wish to call it, that you have to have the whole system torn down. Doesn't mean people have to die necessarily, but maybe they have to be thrown in jail. Maybe people actually have to be held accountable instead of this snowball effect of I'll give you a good example of this. In the 2008 financial crisis, you had this even today, the framing from what's his name? Lewis, that wrote Flash Boys. You have this framing of greed on Wall Street. But you don't talk about the governmental interference that forced banks to sell subprime loans lest they be fined. The entire system was designed and incentivized for this end, from the government level onwards. And then they have a guy named Raj Rajendram, like from Galleon Group, who they did the perp walk for. They had the feds come in and arrest him for some arbitrary trades that they're bullshit. They're like fake trade. Like they're like completely unnecessary for insider trading. He's so wealthy. There's no reason to make these trades. $5 million purchases. But they used him as a poster child, among others, as this is greed. But he wasn't involved in subprime. You're like basically destroying someone, I guess, publicly. And then what's his name from McKinsey was also involved. Raj Gupta. He's a very smart guy. I think he spent a lot of his fortune on legal fees. His fortune was over $60 million. He had like financial issues. Isn't that crazy? Because the feds have unlimited money, and they'll just like go after you forever until they break you. By the way, that mentality of like perseverance and knowing that life is short and that you have enemies and like you have to go for it should be ingrained in every young person. Like the issue that I have with my mom and like telling me that my dad's a bad guy, even though he was a poor kid who became a multimillionaire on his own from a poor family. And you're just some rich girl that like gets a dividend check every quarter from your rich family. You've never worked a day in your life. Maybe you need to be aware, like everyone's just a little too comfortable. And like maybe life's too short. And maybe life's not just about being under the covers. Maybe life's about going for it. You know? It's righteous and good and true. I think. I have an autoimmune disorder. My brain may never work the same way it used to. Maybe I'm fucked. But what am I supposed to do? Do nothing? Like just fall over and die? Like at times it's so bad I need ice packs and have to be in bed. Blurry vision, horrible things. I'm supposed to just give up and throw myself off a building? No. Research, try to help people like me fight. But people are kind of like comfortable. They're too comfortable with like saying you are a bad guy and that's it on Twitter or whatever. Oh, Epstein's a pedophile. No, he's a fucking ephebophile. So is everybody. Just for clarification, that sounds awful. Prepubescent attraction is pedophile. Post-pubescent attraction is like everybody. That's when a ephebophile is. It just lowers it from like 14, 15 to like forever to 14, 15 to 19. That range. Sorry, but that was like the standard like marrying age and like primogeniture like pipeline of young children and heirs like on like Oregon Trail, like back in the days of like Manifest Destiny, where we're going out and we young wives, young families. It's not the same anymore, but it's perfectly natural biologically. Like people have said this, like, you know, Nick's obviously alluded to this. Palmer Luckey has alluded to this. What Epstein did, and this is sort of a tangent of what I was talking about, is like he used really tall models that in New York you have to be 5'9" or taller to model on runway, and he used girls that are like elegant looking, look like well bred, tall, and it gave the illusion that these women are not 16 or whatever, and he entrapped people. It was done purposefully. He didn't pick girls that looked too young. It was like a what do you call it, a process crime or a technical violation. But it was so bad that extortion and blackmail, which are illegal, was not enough to dissuade these people from handing over tens of millions of dollars, in the case of Leon Black, hundreds of millions of dollars, to Jeffrey Epstein for tax advice. No, it was a bribe. A horrible bribe. So, yeah. My friend has said. So yeah, I think I don't even know where I was going with this, but like Wall Street corruption, yeah, like the system is like incredibly corrupt. This just Trump's entire assault, like the assault, the Russia hoax, the process crimes of like General Flynn, of Paul Manafort. These like, oh, you cheated on your mortgage application 30 years ago. That's not a real. What does that have to do with Trump and like doing deals with Russia and like Russia interference or buying, manipulation of votes and voter inclinations online? Like it's just, what are you talking about? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? This is not real. Oh, well, you lied. You didn't pay the IRS your total taxes like 12 years ago. Like, what are you talking? That's nothing to do with the Trump administration and colluding with Russia. What is like that? But it's what the feds did. Like, Rudy Giuliani actually worked against him in the end, but like that's how they got the mafia guys and the racketeering and all this stuff. It's like we have this sort of like, what is it called? Conspiracy is the precursor or the prefix. Conspiracy 2. Not actually, but conspiracy 2. And it's like a crime of moral turpitude. You lie on your mortgage, which lots of people do, to get favorable rates or just to have the option to buy a fucking house. Some, a microcosm for those of you that don't know, if you have a landlord that wants you to make at least 3 times your monthly rent every month, 3.5 for New York City, something like this. Everyone lies. A lot of people lie about this because rent's very expensive and it would basically price out most people. The landlord-tenant laws in New York are very like favorable towards tenants, so like landlords don't want to get locked in and have to go to court. Going to court in New York City is like, it's icky, It's like taking the subway in rush hour. It's icky in the summer. It's icky. So. Yeah, talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Let's see what the hopefully this hair grows out a little bit. I think my weight loss and my hair like it was before would be a good look. I have some killer pics when I was like just shredded. It's so funny. You got to enjoy getting fat. Because like you're not gonna like it. Eventually, your pants stop fitting. But before that, it's perfect. You're completely oblivious to how fucking disgusting you are, and you're happy as a clam. And then one day you wake up to go to work or whatever, and you try to put on your pants, and you're like, huh? And you're like, this must be a malfunction of the zipper. And then you go try the others, and then you try your fat pants, that one pair you have where it's like, and that doesn't fit. And you're like, oh my god. Oh my God, I need to be put in a facility. That's called fat blindness. I have fat blindness. A lot of people do it. You wake up one day and you realize you're fat. The pants fit yesterday, but not the day before. So it's like all this sugar and like extra calories just morph into these rolls around your sides, and then all of a sudden your pants don't fit. All of a sudden you have a little bit of this, and you're just like, what happened to me? I don't deserve this. Yeah, you do. It's all your fault. JP Morgan will offer a special bonus of up to $1,000 to employees worldwide who earn less than $80,000 annually. Well, frankly, I think JP Morgan should not pay anyone less than that, unless they're a janitor or something like that. I mean, that's just a crazy, $80,000 New York City. It's not a great amount of money. It's a funny thing. Like, oh, where do you work? Goldman Sachs. Oh, what do you make? Oh, $75,000 a year. What do you work in HR? Pretty much. It's the only thing I can see. The average salary at Goldman Sachs 10 years ago was like $750,000. Weighted, and I get it, like the balance and mean versus median, but still, you should make like $200,000 a year working in HR at Goldman. They can afford it. Oh, Delaware Supreme Court reinstates the 218 package. Good for Elon. $749 billion net worth. But he's retarded, right? Well, everyone's like, he's retarded. Yeah, he's retarded, says everyone online. He's not retarded. He's ruthless, and he's like a dark triad trait like Jordan Peterson type person. He's the guy that Jordan Peterson says Nick Fuentes and the Groy Brazar. Well, you gotta like. What do you mean by EV? What do you actually? You have to define. You have to be very specific. I sound like I want to go into Cosby. You got to be very specific. I can't do either one. I'm like in this weird limbo. What the? I should close the window, shouldn't I? It's a little loud here. Thousands of Yemenis are threatening to assassinate J6er Jake Lang, a Florida State Senate candidate who placed a Quran inside the mouth of a pig. Yeah, just what we need. We need more Florida State government officials trying to create another show on for Israel's sake. Wonderful. Overreaction. It's just a pig and a Quran. Yeah, it's not like that's just like a woman being a woman, you know? Women love that. Women, when they do something wrong, they try to get you to overreact once you're criticizing them. Like you're criticizing them. They don't like it. So they try to be extra annoying to get you to like do something to where you have to apologize. That's what that is. It's like, it's just a pig and a Quran and like, you know, I just slept with your wife. I mean, don't shoot me. Calm down, man. She slept with lots of guys before you. It's like the same thing, you know? It's disgusting. It's just like the framing, the pretense, like for the sake of public consumption. I think Candace Owens would be more likable if she was ugly. If she was like Wendy Williams or something, or if she was Lizzo, but she spoke the same way, because it's very, is there a fire in my building? Hold on. Hebrew. You gotta. Okay. Just kidding. I love the juice. The mic got fucked up. Hold on, let's see. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, so homeless people overdosing and multiple ambulances, which means that they're bad dope. It's bad. Doing drugs because your life sucks is really not a good idea. But I understand. When someone close to me passed away during COVID, it was really bad. And I was like, there's nothing to do. They closed all the businesses. there'll be these like parties would people go to. I'm like, yeah, it's not attractive to see drug use because everyone's like frustrated. It should be like good things are happening, but I get it. I actually understand and empathize with homeless people who are like trying to get their life together, and then they have drug dealers taking advantage of them and giving them like an out, like a break from the struggle. It's just you have to like find something else to channel that into. It can affect anyone anytime. I remember when my friend passed away, Sorcy Kennedy, the same summer, also passed away. And it's like, why is someone on the Kennedy compound, Chappaquiddick, wherever it was, Palm Beach Island, like, why are they getting bad dope? Like, why is it even like, why would you even put yourself in this situation as a drug dealer? You know, this is like bad business, but it's also like, why would you, like, I just can't imagine someone giving kids bad drugs. It's just disgusting. Or selling drugs to kids at all because of the possibilities of the repercussions for them and for yourself. So you are a drug dealer, so you're a little narcissistic, a little solipsistic, you're all in your own world. Why the fuck would you give a Kennedy bad dope? You know, would you give Hunter Biden like laced meth? No. You lose a customer? I mean, it's bad business. I know that sounds disgusting, kind of like, well, it's just true. Like, why, like, you know, you don't, there is something where I've read this, maybe it was in like Basketball Diaries or something, or some other depressive William Burroughs book or something, but like dealers would purposely have other people, like have certain groups overdose. They give a bad batch out because it would get around that the dope is so good that these people died. So people would buy more from him and he'd give them like less, you know, like better stuff. The cartels do stuff like this where they hire girls or whoever to go to the border as mules, and they call the border patrol to take out certain cars so that others get through. So just imagine you decide to become a mule and make $30,000 or something, whatever it is, to get across, and you're in, you know, federal penitentiary for 20 years because on that day, the Sinaloa cartel said, you're the one that's going to take it for everyone else. And they don't give a fuck. That's the way the cookie crumbles, man. Oh, back to what was on? I was on the X. Candace Owens stuff. Mark Wahlberg, Hannah Stocking doing something. They forgot to delete this one. It's a young girl on the plane with Donald Trump. It might be his daughter for all we know, you know? I don't know. I mean, Donald Trump likes Zoftic women. Maybe he did once, but he likes the big tits and he likes women, not children. You know, Eyes Wide Shut. Stanley Kubrick dies during like the cutting and the production of the film. The production being like doing the final cut, splicing the scenes together, fighting with the studio about the premise and the kind of dark nature of the film that was not finished the way he wanted it. He was saying like, this is where I want. And they're like, no, you can't do this. He wanted to do a voiceover the entire movie. If you've ever seen it, you're like, interesting. And people don't know this. Spoiler alert, turn away. In the movie, Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise give their daughter to a pedophile cult as a sacrifice for his like breach of their like world when he goes into like the sex party at the mansion. Like, it's so underhanded. And you're like, oh, this movie's just about like infidelity. No, it's so much worse than that. And he was talking about it. People don't believe it. That picture of Hillary Clinton, look for it, the gold dress. It looks like she's doing a spirit cooking dinner with the Soros people, like out in like Bohemian Grove, about to like, I don't know, support the sacrifice of like 5-year-old children to Moloch the owl god. The whole thing is very, it's very weird. Like, imagine like the civil servant variant from the public's perspective of the means and operations of government versus like a complete charade of theater where it's all designed to keep you doing what you're supposed to be doing, to keep you under the thumb of the societal like controls that keep things functioning and keep the public from like rising up and stealing from the wealthy and killing them and like taking their cars and their jewelry and their wealth and, you know, various forms. This like idea of civility, but the people in charge do not play by that game. The people that run the world are not civil. They like do horrible things. They engage in like amoral behavior involving, you know, sex, children, drugs, hurting other people. And they tell you that's not what you're supposed to do. Right. How interesting. Let's keep going. Kind of in this weird like mood right now. Is it true that Kyle Rittenhouse has an IQ under 67? I'd believe that. I think it's interesting that all the gun nuts are fat. Like the TikTok videos are involving like people buying guns from a store and they have like employees or friends reappear in these videos. Everyone is like morbidly obese. I think it's an interesting sport. Like these weapons. Is it possible that their cocks are just hidden under fat and the gun is like this symbol of like a phallic device that all they would have to do really is lose weight, but they refuse to. Triple stacker at Denny's or whatever. You know, Cinnabon at the airport that they arrived at. You know? And they're like, I'm comfortable with this replacement. It's like TRT, you know? I guess. It's like 90% of their dicks is like covered in fat, like hidden inside their body like a tortoise. You know? It's just like, okay, I don't want to lose my Cinnabons. I don't want to lose my jizzy syrup dollop at Logan Airport. I don't want to lose my chili cheese fries and ordering food and then seeing if I can order Chinese while I wait for the pizza and seeing which one comes first and placing bets with my friends for some nominal, like kind of like $5. Yeah. Dolph Lundgren, his girlfriend's how old? Who cares? Great guy. Great guy. I think he's off the TRT. I think he's off hormones. Didn't like Gavin McInnes the other day talking about Venezuela and fentanyl. Fentanyl's not coming from Venezuela. If it is, it's disproportionately low. It's like, no. The vast majority of drugs from South America are coming from Bolivia, Colombia, I don't know, anywhere else but Venezuela, which has the largest offshore oil reserves in the entire world. You know? It's just completely silly. Very tightly controlled country. You think they're allowing a bunch of drug cartel people to make an inch? Give me a break. This is not happening. Let's see here. People are astroturfing these weirdos. Oof. New Chappelle. People are upset about his Saudi like Qatar thing he did, or getting money for doing some event, and he's like, because of Jamal Khashoggi dying at the Turkish embassy at the hands of Saudi. Is it a different embassy, or was it the Saudi embassy in Turkey? I think that's what it was, and they just like executed the guy. But Israel's killed 240 journalists in the last 3 months. You know, it is a funny thing. Oof, I should write about that. Give me 1 second. I have to. Yeah. Is it getting sunny out? Should we go for a walk? Let's see, they probably took down this thread. They definitely took it down. Yeah, they don't like any politics. on this platform. Yeah. Conan O'Brien stopped guests from calling 911 and Nick Rainier or Reiner during I think the Rainier guy is the guy from NVX, IM, whatever that cult with Claire Bronfman that went to jail, like bringing girls into this sex cult for this weirdo fake savant who had like $70 million in like option positions. The Bronfman family, the Seagram's ginger ale people, had to bail him out of. And then you have this psycho kid who has Sampaku eyes that make the most psychotic person you've ever seen look like a normal person. His eyes are just so weird. They're completely dilated. I don't know if that's drugs or just natural. Probably drugs, like, I don't know, something. And then there's so much white under here. It's just like they're floating. It's really unattractive. It's like kind of like a great white shark. Black eyes, they roll over white, and then the sea turns red. It's exactly what happened to Rob. I mean, it's just, can you imagine sleeping? He's gonna get off too. I don't know what happens. Should we ask like, what happens if, what's his name? Nick Reiner gets off for insanity. No, this is a good defense. Like, the kid is clearly mentally ill. Oh, yeah. There's something about if you kill someone, can you inherit their money? What is that called? It's called. I heard about this in that movie Knives Out. It's called. What is that phrase? Oh, I can't think of it. Just gotta find it here. Isn't it called like? Oh, it's called Crimson or. Yeah, something about that. You actually commit murder and still inherit. Well, the sister would get it, but that's besides the point. I want to know: does he just go to a facility? Well, all right, we're gonna ask my friend here. Val, if Nick Reiner gets off for insanity, what happens? Does he go to a facility or is he just free?
When someone is found not guilty by reason of insanity, it usually means that they're not held criminally responsible due to a mental illness or defect. What happens next can vary depending on the jurisdiction, but typically the person is committed to a mental health facility for treatment rather than being released. The length of their stay in such a facility often depends on the ongoing assessment of their mental health. They might be held until they're considered no longer a danger to themselves or others. In some cases, they might be released under certain conditions or supervision once they're deemed stable. So the person isn't just free, they're usually under medical care and supervision, and the goal is to provide treatment and ensure public safety. If you want more details on specific jurisdictions or particular cases.
Yes, California, Nick Reiner and his murder of his mother and his father. What's the likelihood that he could just go to a mental health facility and then get out in a month if he's found not guilty by reason of insanity?
In California, when someone is found not guilty by reason of insanity, NGRI, they're typically placed in a state mental health facility rather than being released immediately. The length of their stay is generally determined by the court and the mental health professionals, and it's not technically a short period like a month, especially in serious cases like murder. The process usually involves a commitment hearing where the court, along with psychiatric evaluations, decides on the level of care needed. The person could be placed in a secure psychiatric facility like a Atascadero State Hospital or Coalinga State Hospital, depending on the severity and the risk assessment. In terms of timeline, it can vary widely. Initial commitment can be for an indefinite period until the individual is deemed stable. Exactly. So
wait a minute. So you're telling me that the crime has something to do with the length of stay in the mental health facility when you're found not guilty? So like if you're stealing, I don't know, M&Ms from a convenience store and you're found not guilty by reason of insanity, that's like not a lot of time. But because it's murder, they like force you to stay there for a few years in a mental health facility after you're committed, after your acquittal from the actual charge of murder or capital murder, whatever it is.
Yes, that's correct. The severity of the crime plays a significant role in determining the length of the commitment.
Should it though? Because you're not like, what does the severity of the crime have to do with whether you're still crazy?
That's a great question, and it really comes down to the concept of public safety and risk assessment.
Isn't it more, sorry to interrupt you, but isn't it more likely that it's just designed to appease the public sentiment and less to do with public safety and risk assessment? Because theoretically, he could be deemed like fine in a month if he's put on the right medication, right? Why would the determining factor be like 3 months, right? You find a medication, 3 months after that, he's on it and he's doing well in the facility. Why would you need to keep him there any longer? See what I mean? Like, it's kind of like ridiculous to say, well, it's a murder, so we have to keep him there for 2 years.
Absolutely, and you're not alone in that perspective. The length of stay can indeed reflect a mix of factors, including public sentiment, the severity of the offence, and the risk of recidivism. In practice, the court wants to ensure that the individual is genuinely stable and not a danger, which can sometimes lead to longer stays, even if the person improves quickly. In some cases, it's also about making sure that the treatment is thorough and that there's a comprehensive evaluation of the individual's mental health over time. But it's true that the system can sometimes appear more influenced by the nature of the crime than by the actual mental state at the time. Ultimately, the goal is to balance safety, treatment, and fairness, and it can definitely be complex and nuanced. If you have more questions or want to dive deeper into any particular aspect, I'm here to help.
Okay. Interesting. Getting sleepy. What's going on with me? Yeah, Megyn Kelly, TPUSA, and Candace are all working together. This is a complete crock of shit. It's like drama for the sake of drama to distract you. Let me tweet this out. They're not enemies. This is just stupid. I'm sleepy. I want to take a break. I'll talk to you guys later.